Throughout history, kings claimed power through bloodlines, war, and conquest, but some queens rose above them all, ruling vast empires, leading armies, reshaping religion, rewriting law, and even changing the course of world history. These are not queens by title alone. These are queens who reigned in power, brilliance, and boldness. From ancient Egypt to the modern throne of Britain, here are the most powerful queens in history. Eleanor of Aquitaine, Queen of Two Kingdoms. Eleanor of Aquitaine wasn't just queen, she was one of the most powerful women of medieval Europe. Born in 1122, she inherited the vast Duchy of Aquitaine, making her one of the wealthiest women in Europe. She first married King Louis VII of France and became Queen of France. She did something unheard of. She joined the Second Crusade, leading her own group of knights to the Holy Land. But the marriage was strained. They had 2 daughters but no sons, and political differences drove them apart. Their union was annulled in 1152. Just weeks later, Eleanor married Henry of Anjou, who would soon become King Henry II of England. As Queen of England, she gave birth to 8 children, including 2 future kings, Richard the Lionheart and King John. But Eleanor was more than a mother. She managed lands, brokered alliances, and at one point led a rebellion against her own husband. Henry imprisoned her for over 15 years, but she returned to power after his death, ruling as regent while Richard went on crusade. She lived into her 80s, almost unheard of in the 12th century, and remained politically active until the very end. Hatshepsut, the pharaoh who rewrote the rules. Hatshepsut ruled Egypt in the 15th century BCE, not as queen consort, but as pharaoh. She was the daughter of Thutmose I and became regent for her young stepson, Thutmose III. But instead of waiting for him to grow up, she declared herself pharaoh. She wore the pharaoh's beard, took on male titles, and ruled for over 20 years. Under her leadership, Egypt entered a golden age, marked by peace, prosperity, and monumental building. She launched trade expeditions to the land of Punt, bringing back riches like gold, incense, and exotic animals. Her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahari remains one of Egypt's architectural marvels. And yet, later pharaohs tried to erase her name, her image, even her story. But they failed. Hatshepsut's name still echoes through the sands of time. Cleopatra VII, Egypt's last queen. If Hatshepsut built Egypt's greatness, Cleopatra fought to keep it alive. Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt and the last ruler of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Born into a line of Greek-speaking Macedonians, she was the first of her family to actually learn Egyptian. She took the throne at 18 and co-ruled with her younger brother, whom she later outmaneuvered. She formed powerful alliances with Julius Caesar and later Mark Antony, bearing children with both. But Cleopatra wasn't just known for her beauty. She was fiercely intelligent, speaking multiple languages and negotiating foreign policy with the greatest powers of her day. She fought to keep Egypt independent in a world dominated by Rome. Her final stand against Octavian, who would become Augustus Caesar, ended in tragedy. Rather than be paraded through Rome in chains, she died by suicide, likely from a poisonous snake. Her death marked the end of ancient Egypt as a sovereign kingdom. Elizabeth I, England's unmarried monarch. Elizabeth I ruled England for 45 years, from 1558 to 1603, an era known as the Elizabethan Age. She was the daughter of Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn, declared illegitimate after her mother's execution. Yet she rose from political exile to claim the throne at 25. She never married, famously saying she was married to England. Her reign brought stability after years of religious conflict. She reinstated the Protestant Church and navigated tensions with Catholic powers. In 1588, her navy famously defeated the Spanish Armada, one of the most celebrated military victories in British history. She supported exploration, the arts, and commerce, giving rise to Shakespeare, the theater, and the beginnings of the British Empire. Elizabeth's image, carefully controlled, became iconic. She ruled as a woman in a man's world, and never gave an inch. Catherine the Great, Empress of Russia. Catherine II, better known as Catherine the Great, was born a German princess. She married into the Russian royal family and seized power in 1762 by deposing her unstable husband, Peter III. Once on the throne, she ruled Russia for 34 years, expanding the empire's territory, modernizing the government, and promoting Enlightenment ideas. She corresponded with philosophers like Voltaire and Diderot, reformed education, and founded new cities. Under her rule, Russia annexed Crimea and pushed its borders into Eastern Europe and Central Asia. But she also crushed uprisings like Pugachev's rebellion and maintained the harsh serfdom system. Catherine built Russia into a modern empire and ruled with ambition few could match. Queen Victoria, the grandmother of Europe. Queen Victoria ascended the throne in 1837 and ruled for over 6 decades. She presided over a British Empire at its zenith, stretching across India, Africa, Canada, Australia, and more. She was named Empress of India in 1876. Though her political power was limited by this time, she was a cultural icon, representing British morality, stability, and empire. Her reign saw the rise of the middle class, the Industrial Revolution, and massive social change. She had 9 children who married into royal houses across Europe, earning her the nickname Grandmother of Europe. Isabella of Castile, Spain's warrior queen. Isabella of Castile became queen in 1474, and her marriage to Ferdinand of Aragon eventually unified Spain. Together, they were known as the Catholic monarchs. Isabella was devout and politically shrewd. She centralized power, restructured the court, and supported the Spanish Inquisition to enforce Catholic orthodoxy. In 1492, her forces captured Granada, ending 700 years of Muslim rule in southern Spain. That same year, she sponsored Christopher Columbus's voyage west, paving the way for Spain's vast overseas empire. But her reign was also marked by brutality: the expulsion of Jews from Spain, the forced conversion or execution of thousands. Isabella transformed Spain into a dominant European power at a great human cost. Queen Elizabeth II, monarch in a modern world. Born in 1926, Elizabeth II became queen in 1952 after the death of her father, George VI. She reigned for over 70 years, longer than any British monarch, witnessing the collapse of empire, the rise of technology, and massive cultural shifts. Though her role was constitutional, her influence was profound. She met with world leaders, guided 15 British prime ministers, and remained a consistent figure through decades of upheaval. She modernized the monarchy's image and maintained global respect, steering the crown through crises like Princess Diana's death and family scandals. To many, she was not just a monarch, but a symbol of duty and continuity. These queens didn't just wear crowns, they wielded power. They made peace, waged war, built nations, and ruled with brilliance. Which of these queens do you admire most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories from history.